We've seen it all too many times before. The pier runners, as they're known, sometimes even called the vacation refugees or even the traveling castaways. It is one of the most dreadful things that can happen to you, and that is being left ashore stranded by the cruise ship. And as a crew member, this can be even worse, as it is generally terms that can lead to your immediate dismissal. So what happens when you miss the cruise ship? Will you be able to get back on board? Will you get to go home? Who makes your traveling arrangements? Or is it a case you are left alone to suffer your own burdens, disregarding the entirety of your vacation? Well, I've got news for you. The cruise ship industry isn't always optimally tasked with how to handle these situations, even though they do happen quite frequently, more times than it should ever be. Not only is it the headache of the traveling castaways, but now it can sometimes disrupt the whole operation for those on board, all the way back to shoreside. And what I mean by this is, if it isn't tasked for the customer relations team to rally this information back to the shoreside team in real time, now they have to be in constant contact with the port agent and the cruise line headquarters on how to either get you back on board to finish the duration of your trip or travel arrangements to get you back home. It isn't only tasked with the guest services team though, as if the passenger cannot rejoin for the remaining duration of the trip, housekeeping now bears the burden in handling the packing and arrangements of the passengers' belongings. So now housekeeping will have to get all your things together that is left aboard to send to your final destination, which is most likely your home. Remember, all of this will be happening in real time, as shoreside will have to be made aware of everything as the information flows back and forth. In some cases where if the ship was waiting for you for some reasonable amount of time, they would generally hand over your information to the port agent, such as any necessary traveling documents, and will have your items packed and off the ship waiting for you. This happens because it is generally seen as abandonment of your trip, especially if you hadn't made any prior contact back to the cruise and why you will either be late or cannot make it on board. Trust me when I say this, but it can get real brutal as the ship has to sail and late passengers have spoiled the mood for everyone else on board. If you do find yourself somehow making it back on board, just know that word spreads really fast, and the other passengers on board will most likely find out you were the cause of the delay. So here are the things that you can do to try and make it back on board if your trip is still ongoing. So in some cases, you will have to bear the responsibility to make arrangements to catch the ship at the next destination. This can be expensive for you, depending on how far the ship will travel before making its next stop. And not only that, you have to ensure to arrive at the next port as early as possible to allow yourself some time to be able to reach without any delays such as traffic, immigration, or any other issues that might pop up. If the reason so happened you had to miss the ship was out of your control, such as a medical emergency, you would have to let the ship know about your situation, and then this way they may be better to assist you. So what can you actually do if you get left behind? My best advice is to reach out to your booking agent, travel insurance company, or the cruise guest services. Try to make some plans of what you want to do next, such as either to go home or try to catch the ship at the next port of call, destination, or wherever they're going to be heading. Once this is done, find a safe place to stay so you can, recollect some thoughts. But generally, people in the area will be happy to help you out either way. Also, make sure you will have enough money to cover any unplanned expenses that you may unexpectedly come across. Being left by the cruise ship can be a real scary situation, but with a level head and remaining calm, you will be sure to make the right decisions that can ultimately try to save your vacation. So if you are ever caught up in this situation, at least now you know what to do. So after knowing all of this and how complicated the situation can get, are you planning to be late for your next cruise? If you haven't touched that like button yet, I implore you to do so now, and leave a comment if you've ever been left behind by the cruise ship or seen others being left behind. Also, watch my next video that you may see here somewhere on the screen. It's Onique, your cruise employee, and I'm out.